Coming up, what Joseph learned about divine timing while waiting in a dark Egyptian prison. Imagine this, you're at the top of your game. Life is good, the future is bright. Then, in a flash, it's all gone. That's not a modern-day drama. This was Joseph's life. From a beloved son with a colorful coat to a slave in a foreign land, his world was turned upside down by the very people who should have protected him, his own brothers. Just when he starts to rebuild, earning trust and respect in the house of an Egyptian official named Potiphar, his integrity is put to the test. He refuses to betray his master, and for his loyalty, he gets repaid with a lie that lands him in the one place he never expected, a dark, royal prison. The years began to pass, each one blurring into the next. In the deafening silence of that dungeon, Joseph had a choice. He could let bitterness and resentment consume him, replaying the betrayals over and over. Or he could hold on to the flicker of faith that had been instilled in him since childhood. He chose hope. He began to understand that his cell could be a classroom, not just a cage. He wasn't just waiting. He was being prepared. He learned patience, not as a passive chore, but as a deep, trusting surrender to a plan he couldn't see. He put his natural talents to work, becoming a leader among the prisoners, earning the respect of the warden, who eventually put him in charge of the entire prison. Then, a glimmer of light. Two of Pharaoh's own staff, the chief baker and the cupbearer, were thrown into prison with him. They both have vivid, troubling dreams, and Joseph, connected to his faith, interprets them with perfect accuracy. The baker would meet a grim fate, but the cupbearer would be restored to his position. As the cupbearer is about to be freed, Joseph makes a simple, heartfelt plea. Remember me when you're back in the palace. Mention me to Pharaoh. This was it, the moment that could change everything. But he was forgotten. 2 more years passed, 730 days. Can you imagine the crushing disappointment? Each sunrise was a reminder that he was still there, his hope seemingly in vain. The one person who could have helped him walked out and never looked back. This was perhaps the hardest test of all, to keep believing when you feel completely abandoned and forgotten by the world. But this is where the story turns. It wasn't the cupbearer's memory that was meant to free Joseph. It was divine timing, moving in ways no one could predict. Far away in his palace, Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world, started having dreams so terrifying and strange that no magician or wise man in Egypt could decipher them. In the midst of this national crisis, a light bulb goes off in the cupbearer's head. He finally remembers the young Hebrew man from the prison. In an instant, Joseph is rushed from the dungeon, cleaned up and brought before Pharaoh himself. And what does he do? He doesn't crumble under the pressure. He doesn't claim any power for himself. He calmly says, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." The rest is history. He not only interpreted the dreams of a coming famine, but he laid out a brilliant administrative plan to save the entire nation. He went from prisoner to prime minister, literally overnight. So what did Joseph learn in that prison? He learned that waiting is never wasted when you're waiting with purpose. He learned that God's clock is never early, never late, but always perfectly on time. His years in prison weren't a detour. They were the training ground. They forged his character, humbled his youthful pride, and gave him the skills he needed to manage a global crisis. Our own prisons, our waiting periods, the times we feel stuck, confused, or forgotten might just be our own training grounds. They are invitations to trust that something bigger is at play, preparing us for a purpose we can't yet see. Thanks for watching, and watch out for the next episode. Subscribe and share.